Spokane is definitely not for everybody, and in this video we're going to go over 15 things that you should definitely know if you're considering a move here, so stay tuned. So today I've picked out 15 things that I would be asking questions about if I was moving to a different city. I'm going to go through each one of them, but also 15 items as a Spokane local that I would want to know if I was moving to the area. So we're going to go through each one, break them down in this video, and I hope that it's helpful for your move. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the economy here in Spokane. So looking at things like the unemployment rate, currently it's at a 6.6% here in Spokane, Washington. The average is 6th in the United States. Our job growth has been behind the national average, but still a negative job growth this time here in early 2024, whatever that means. Obviously, jobs report just came out and it was not good news, and it made mortgage interest rates go up higher. Our future job growth is in line with the United States on the next 10 years or so. And other things to consider, we have 8.8% sales tax, and that is state sales tax, I believe. 8.8% sales tax, I think it's actually closer to 8.9. No income tax for our area when the average is 4.6 across the United States. And then a few things to note just about the job market here in Spokane. We have some big companies that employ a lot of Spokane, like the Fairchild Air Force Base, lots of medical, things like that. But if you're coming for something like the tech industry or anything like that, you're probably going to have a hard time finding a job. The biggest industries here in Spokane are healthcare and social assistance at 18.8%, retail trade at 11.4%, and what's another high one? Manufacturing at 7%. So those are kind of like the main trades. Educational services, 9% as well. So District 81, our main school system here in Spokane, is one of our biggest employers as well. So education tends to be one of the highest employment opportunities in our area. And just because I like to keep it real, number 2 is crime here in the Spokane area. Crime is definitely a hot topic in Spokane area. Is it a normal amount of crime compared to other mid-sized cities across the country? Is it getting out of hand? Anything like that? Well, the numbers show that our rate of violent crime, so homicides and things like that, is at 28.6 compared to the national average of 22.7. So a little bit increased there. But really where Spokane shines is the property crime, which is 95.3 when the U.S. average is 35.4. So it is more than likely, I mean, somebody living in Spokane is more likely than the average American to experience property crime. I will say that my car has been broken into before. You just need to make sure you're not leaving stuff in your car at any given time, whether you're parked at your house or you're parked downtown. You should just keep things out of your car because that's the biggest thing here, is just smashing windows and stealing things out of the back seat. If you're nervous about making a move to a neighborhood that is higher in crime than another one, you can use a resource like the Spokane County Crime Map. It's at spokanecounty.org/regional crime map, and you can look at the hot spots. This goes for all of Spokane, Spokane Valley will show you everything. So you can really do some research on which neighborhoods are going to make the most sense for you and or your family. Third on our list is the lack of new construction homes in Spokane. I look at some places like the Tri-Cities in Vancouver, Washington that are close to here, and they have so many options for new construction. They have way more builders building homes, different styles of homes, or places like, I don't know, I have agents in El Paso, Texas that I follow that are showing so many different types of new construction homes at affordable prices, and Spokane does not have that. We are famous for being short for about 35,000 new homes from where we should be. And so one, it causes the inventory of new construction to just not be where it should be, and for there to not be enough competition in the new construction market among builders, but it's also making the price of new construction go up and up. And so we've seen new construction over the last 2.5 years follow a similar curve to what the retail market has. The retail market definitely took much more of a big hit when interest rates went up, because the new construction homes were able to offer incentives that the resale homes could not. While people buying resale homes were getting 8% interest rates, those that were buying new construction were getting 6% interest rates, because D.R. Horton, Lennar, major builders like this, they can buy mass amounts of loans from the government at a wholesale price and give that incentive to the buyer so that they could keep moving their inventory and take a hit on the interest rate side of things. So currently we're sitting at about $450,000 for the average new construction price here in Spokane. It is hard to get anything under $450,000 if you're looking for new construction. I am selling a 2-bedroom, 2-bath Lennar build. It's 1,016 square feet, and that is $350,000. So that's kind of the starter level for new construction in our area. Number 4 on the list are the roads here in Spokane. Spokane has been named one of the cities in the nation with the poorest roads and the most amount of potholes. And so they are always actively trying to take care of those. It's just because we can get harsh winters with studded snow tires in our area. And so it makes it difficult to maintain those roads long term. But the city of Spokane in 2024 alone has filled up 926 potholes here in just 2 months. So they are filling over 18 potholes a day at this point in the year, trying to maintain the roads and make it safe for people to drive. Because obviously in the United States as a whole, it costs drivers millions and millions of dollars a year in vehicle damage. Now, I said I wanted this video to be honest, and so we're going to keep hitting some hot topics, so make sure you watch to the end because you never know what's going to come up. But number 5 on our list is the homeless situation here in Spokane, Washington. So as of the fourth quarter, October of 2023, there were 2,390 known homeless people in Spokane, and that's a 36% increase from 2022 and more than 100% increase from 2013. So just 10 years ago, we had close to 1,000 homeless people in our area, and it has more than doubled in that amount of time. I think the biggest issue that Spokane locals have is that it doesn't feel like there's an actual plan. The new mayor says that she wants to make a major impact on the homeless situation in her first 100 days, and her plan is to create more transitional housing for those homeless people. But she was questioned by the anchor at Creme 2 News, what is the city's role in that? And her role was to supply more money and to go for funding, but really she has to work with the private sector and with nonprofits to create those. So she really has to change some things to incentivize those buildings to happen. We want to get people into more transitional housing that will then hopefully get them back into working society and living on their own. So I'm all for them getting through transitional housing, but the unfortunate thing is that this is kind of a dream right now, and there's no actionable plan that they can present to us today. So I'm hopeful that we will see something here in the coming months. The 6th thing on our list is the dry weather. So some of you might be moving here from a very humid place, whether it's in the Northeast, Florida, anything like that. But Spokane is incredibly dry. I get out of the shower each day and my skin sometimes feels like it wants to fall off my face. And so you have to moisturize regularly. Your hands will crack, your lips will chap, things like that. So make sure that you are consistently moisturizing. And I've had people even come here from Seattle where it's not even necessarily that humid, but there is more moisture in the air. And as soon as they get here, they just notice a difference in their skin. And so that's just something that you will consistently have to live with. You gotta sleep with a humidifier, air filter, things like that. Keep the air in your room moving and moisturize while you sleep as well. So now we're only about halfway through this list, but if you are finding this video valuable at all, please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell and the like button while you're down there. We're putting out videos every single week about what it's like to move here to Spokane. What is the real estate market like? What is life like here as a Spokaneite, especially if you are moving here from out of the area? I'm a realtor and my team helps people just like you relocate to Spokane, and not just relocate, but build a community as well. So if you have any questions, you can use the link down below in the description to schedule a meeting on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. I'd love to chat about your move and see how I can help you out. So the next thing is the weather. I think people think that Spokane is this dreamy place that has 4 beautiful seasons all the time. And sometimes that is true. Sometimes we have beautiful falls, beautiful springs, the perfect winters. Those things do happen, but very rarely in the same year. I would say maybe you get two very good seasons out of the 4 that feel like the season, very picturesque. We are not super prone to extreme weather, but things do happen. We get some freak windstorms every once in a while. A couple of years ago, there was one so strong that it knocked down 100 ginormous trees in Comstock Park and caused tremendous damage on the South Hill, knocking chimneys off of roofs, smashing cars, and falling onto houses, of course. But something a lot of people do ask me, especially moving from the west side of Washington or from California specifically, is do we lose power very often? And I would say no. In my experience, there are pockets in which power will get messed up at some point, maybe a car hit a pole or something like that, but it's not specifically so much to where the state of California is asking you to shut your power off because it can't handle that. There was a point this winter when it was like negative 18 degrees outside, and Avista, our gas and electric company, messaged everybody and said to not heat your houses so much, conserve energy. I believe that was a gas line issue more than an electric issue on our system, but everybody was just trying to keep their houses warm, and so it put extreme pressure on their system, and so they asked us to conserve. So that was like one of the first times I had ever seen that. Number 8 on the list is that we are a landlocked area. So if you are coming from California or Seattle, where you have the ocean within 45 minutes or something like that, you can see it, you can feel it, you can breathe it. That can be a hard thing to do here in Spokane. And another thing to think about is that, yes, we do have mountains close by, but they're not these huge, ginormous mountain ranges, really. Like, you can see them in the distance. Mount Spokane is not a huge mountain. It's nothing like if you're living in Salt Lake, Boise, Missoula, or Denver, Denver kind of, like, you have ginormous mountains, but they're super far away. Some place like Missoula where you like have a mountain just like in town. And I know Boise and Salt Lake's a little bit more like that, where it's just like you can really see the snow-capped mountains. It's not like that really. So it is, you're in a pretty wide valley. It's relatively flat. And if you head east at all, it's basically a desert prairie forever. You have to head west or north to really get into the forest and explore the nature as well. So you can get to the lake. Obviously, there's over 76 lakes within an hour drive of Spokane that you have access to. So there is plenty of water to access, but you're just going to have to drive about 4 to 5 hours to the west side of the state to access that, if that's a big deal for you. The next point I want to hit is the hospitality here in Spokane. What's it like? There's kind of two sides of the spectrum. You have one side, which would be like Southern hospitality, which you would super friendly people that want to chat all the time. And Spokane is definitely not exactly like that. But we're also not the city that we get compared to a lot, or that people think we're basically the same, which would be Seattle, where Seattle has something called the Seattle Freeze. So the Seattle Freeze is a perceived barrier to making new friends in the city of Seattle. Newcomers often believe that that people of Seattle are often standoffish, hesitant to engage in any social activities, and also are non-committal on their interactions. Like, they might set up plans with you and then just not show up. So I wouldn't say that Spokane is like that either. Is there a time of year where everybody kind of goes into their home and tries to stay warm? I would say yes, that's right around mid-January to mid to late February. But there are things like Inlander Restaurant Week, which are intentionally placed in mid-February to help people get out of their homes so that they can go do an activity, get people into the restaurants, socialize. It's set up to be a social engagement as well. And it's small enough that where something like an Inlander Restaurant Week can have an impact on the entire city, because Spokane's it is big, but it's not that big. And then from my experience of just going to networking events, and when I moved back to Spokane, trying to meet new people and make a new group of friends, I would go to networking events all the time. And as long as you're willing to put yourself out there, there's definitely another person trying to put themselves out there, and they'd be willing to meet with you for coffee, anything like that. I've done it many times myself. Number 10 on the list is how car-centric Spokane is. I just helped some clients move here to Spokane that actually found me through this YouTube channel. They moved here all the way from Japan, and they currently don't have a car here. And we've already found out how difficult it is for them to get around and do the things that they need to do. They didn't plan on buying a car for a little while, so we had to find a condo that was within like a half a mile of a grocery store so that they could at least go get groceries. And that was a challenge. That was very difficult to find an affordable place that was close to even just groceries. We're not even talking about anything else like doctors, dentists, whatever else it could be. It's like literally just trying to get to a grocery store. And so Spokane is very car-centric, especially if you live on the South Hill. If you need to commute off of the South Hill regularly, you 100% need a car, unless you're a crazy person and can bike up that super steep hill. But there's really not a lot of bike lanes, and it's difficult to live an urban life. Like, you're gonna have a very narrow search for your home if you're looking for somewhere that you can really walk to everything you need. Even these like live, work, play communities, like Kendall Yards is like one of the only ones that you would really be able to go to the grocery store, go to the doctor, go to a restaurant in your same neighborhood. We're building more of those. There's plans for more in the future, but right now, if you're moving to Spokane, you're definitely going to be in your car pretty regularly. It's nothing like LA, Seattle, kind of Denver kind of traffic where you're going to be 30 minutes for, I don't know, 10 miles or something. You're going to be making your drive is going to be much shorter than that, but you're definitely going to tend to be in your car pretty regularly. Next on the list is the dating scene in Spokane. Now, I'm not the best person to talk about this because I've always been in long-term relationships. I'm engaged right now, but apartmentslist.com did a study on dating scenes for 130 cities across the country. And Spokane came in at number 118 out of 130 with an overall satisfaction of 21% in the dating scene. So now I think these numbers are kind of interesting because even the most satisfied place, it was only like 40%, 45%. We don't have a lot of data between male and female. And things that I thought were interesting was that overall satisfaction was a 31% in the social life. So other places were definitely higher than that. The thing that I thought was interesting was that Spokane rated as an 8 for dating affordability, which I thought was very interesting compared to somewhere like Chandler, Arizona was rated a 95 for affordability, and Maryland that was rated way higher, like a 98 for affordability. So I thought it was interesting that we were an 8 for affordability. It's like, I don't know. You don't have to go to Clinker Daggers or Churchill's for a first date. You can go do something fun that's a little interesting. You can go to a $5 movie at the Garland. I don't know, but I thought that was very interesting. So again, I'm not the number one, but if you are single and dating, Spokane might not be the best place to find that special someone. Maybe find them somewhere else and then bring them to Spokane. All right, next up, let's talk about affordability. Another hot topic here in Spokane. Is it affordable still? Is it not? Many of you watching this video moving to the area probably think so, but anybody watching this video that is in Spokane probably doesn't feel like it's very affordable anymore. Prices have gone up like 67% since 2019, and so it's just been hard to grasp how expensive it's gotten if you're used to the prices that it used to be. And so currently in Spokane, our average home price is $400,000. Obviously, we've kind of had a little bit of a turmoil in the last 2 years handling high interest rates, and the market is really teetering back and forth. Are prices too high? Are they too low? And we're finding our balance. But the average in America, in the US, is $417. So we're actually still below the average in the United States. And then if we look at the rent for an average 2-bedroom, 969 square feet, you're at $1,357 a month. For a 2-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom would put you at $1,729. And the average across the country for a 2-bedroom is currently $1,317. So we're kind of right. We're sitting on that cusp of just kind of being in the average of the United States in terms of rent and purchasing a home. Spokane ranked 71st most expensive city in Washington, which they have to make it sound negative like that, but this was a study of 85 cities in the state of Washington. So it is 71st out of 85. The average person in Washington state spends about $2,500 a month on their bills, while the average Spokane resident spends $1,971 per month on their bills. So in terms of the entire state as a whole, if Washington is where you're trying to go for your income tax reasons or anything like that, you will definitely save money, even more money, if you move here to Spokane. Next up on the list is sports. I think Spokane is a little bit of a hidden gem for sports. We don't have an NFL team or an NBA team, anything like that, but we do have a couple cool things. We have Gonzaga basketball. It is Gonzaga. You're supporting the Zags. Don't say Zags or Gonzaga. I don't know, whatever. Gonzaga, I also hear as well. But Gonzaga basketball is super cool. Very limited to get seats in the small arena that they have. You basically have to be a donor to the school, or you need to know somebody to get those season tickets. But it's a very cool part of our community. Tons of passionate WSU, Washington State University, football, basketball supporters in our area. And then we're just kind of a minor league town. People love going to the Indians baseball team, the Chiefs hockey. It's just more of like a family-friendly thing, and they make it a kind of about bringing your family out to the sports games. And so I just think that's a cool portion of it. is that people like to get out and go to them, even if it's not like this huge deal or anything like that. And we are getting a USL soccer team, men's and women's. So I'm very excited for that. The men's start next month here in March. So I think I'm going to go check out a game, and I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be super fun. Next up is politics. I'm not going to get super into it, especially I'm not going to talk about what I vote for or anything like that. But people talk about Spokane being a very purple place. It's very 50-50, whether it's conservative, liberal, red, blue, whatever you think it is. But I want to show you a map here on the screen that shows you kind of Spokane County as a whole and how they vote. You can see that the city of Spokane tends to be more blue. The county and the surrounding area is definitely red. Even Spokane Valley tending to be a little bit more red with pockets of blue here and there. But the thing I want to point out is that in the upper left-hand corner, the lighter shades of red and blue is a GOP vote margin 100 or less. So we're talking hundreds of votes here that these differences are. So it's, again, these lighter shades still very close to the middle, very close to the line. The darker shades are going to be more on they have more than 100 vote difference, 100 vote margin. And so definitely in those more rural counties, you get the darker red. Very center of Spokane, you're getting the darker blue, things like that. So again, I just think these are funny when it's just showing that a margin within 100. It's just not that big of a difference. So that big of a spread. So that's what I will say about politics there. And so lastly, before we end this video, we'll talk about the border war between Eastern Washington and Northern Idaho. There's definitely a little bit of a feeling there where people from Idaho come into Washington to work, people from Washington go into Idaho to work. There's kind of this cross-breeding going on across the border, and then people will really choose to live in one state or the other really on these political ideals. Some people believe that Idaho is doing a really poor job, and so they come over to the Washington side and vice versa. But there's definitely that little bit of a feeling that if you have Washington plates and you're over in Idaho, you get a little bit of a look. I think a lot of people I've had talked to get worried about having maybe California plates here in Washington. Luckily, you need to change your plates within 30 days of moving here, so it won't be that long, but I definitely think there's a little bit more of that stigma on the Idaho side. So even though we are the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene metro area, those are combined things. There's definitely a big divide right down the state line of different ideologies, how they want the government to handle things or not handle things, what should be taught in schools, and all types of things. So make sure you're doing your research on whether or not the Idaho or the Washington side makes more sense to you. And if you are confused, you're moving to the area, you want to know more, what you can do is reach out to me using that link down below in the description to schedule a meeting on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. We're going to jump on a Zoom call, pull up the map, look out all the neighborhoods in the areas. I'm going to listen to what you're hoping to find, what your needs are, and kind of point you in the right direction of what areas in Spokane you should be thinking about. And if you're coming to visit for a few days, we'll put together a custom Google Map link that will drive you through all the neighborhoods that you're looking for, just to make your trip a little bit easier and so that you have a planned itinerary by a local specifically made for you. So thank you so much for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.